Namaste, my beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. So right now I want to speak about having an overactive crown chakra. In my last video we talked about what is a crown chakra, where is it located, all that good stuff. So this is going to be if you have too much energy flow to that center. It's out of control, right? So somebody with an overactive crown chakra is going to be way too spiritual or way too religious. They can come off as like overly philosophical in a sense. They need balance, right? So they're unable to keep a healthy balance between like their spiritual and their physical reality. Like this might look like meditating all day instead of going to your job, so you're unable to pay your bills. You may even get fired from your job because you're worried about other things. You're worried about the spiritual aspects, you know? So that's not good, you guys. So you're unable to utilize like physical stuff to facilitate spiritual aspects, which would be a good balance, right? Utilizing the physical to facilitate your spiritual. But if you have overactivity, you don't have that balance, right? You think you can manifest things without taking physical action, and that's a big no-no for manifestation. That's a big, red flag when people are telling you, oh, just sit around and think about it and it'll come to you, law of attraction type stuff. Yes, but you have to put some action to those manifestations and help get the physical energy here in the 3D, get that ball rolling for your manifestations. And it's going to help throw you on those timelines that you are etherically manifesting as well, right? So if you have an overactive, they recognize like the divine connection, like mirroring in this life, and see an aspect of themselves in everything and anything, as they should, but they lack their own individuality or their own uniqueness, like their own character traits, essentially, right? So they don't have any like strong personality markers or highlights, right? Like, when a person walks into the room and they're themselves, and so it's not overwhelming, but their energy almost slaps you in the face because they're such a character, right? If you have an overactive crown chakra, this is not going to be you. That's not going to be you. You're going to blend into the background. You're going to have a hard time having your own individuality. So overactives often build their lives around like serving others, service to others, but it's at their own detriment, right? Classic empath to sacrifice themselves and be all into what everybody else is trying to do, right? So overactives easily get bored with the normal everyday life and routines. They need to be more spontaneous, going with the flow of life. They love experiencing new things. But they often will live like a nomadic lifestyle and can't seem to stay in one place. Or they have difficulty just kind of finding a more permanent situation. And it's just because they're kind of gone with the wind etherically, but like I said, manifesting anything here in the physical is a little hard for them, right? Manifesting a place to live, manifesting a stable job or a stable home, and, maybe because they're meditating all day, stuff like that. So overactives tend to have their head in the clouds, right? And this is because they're so out of body. They're so out of their body all the time. So this leads them to often feeling, like forgetful, ditzy, feeling rushed or overloaded all the time when there's really nothing going on. It's just kind of like you perceive things to be rushed and you have a lot going on, but it's kind of like, take a deep breath, like you're good. There's nothing going on. Like you relax. So because of this, they really cannot handle having extremely hard or fast-paced, stressful type jobs. They probably aren't going to go work at a fast food chain because that would be way too much, way too stressful for them, right? So these people are also not physically integrating the knowledge or concepts or lessons fully. They're having basically ideas flooding into their head, floating around because they aren't bringing ideas into fruition and action, right? Like you'll have all these concepts and you'll have all this knowledge, but you're not doing anything with it, right? So this is why it's extremely hard to manifest any of their desires or wants into the 3D. This is why. So it's not uncommon for overactives to make, like a divine ritual out of everything, right? When it's kind of overkill, like I'm a firm believer in like having some rituals and having a ritual about things, but it's like maybe you're just going to Walmart to get some baby wipes or something and you're like, oh, like calling in your ancestors and lighting candles and, you know, all this stuff to bless your Walmart trip. And, you know, when it's like, just go to fucking Walmart, you know what I mean? Like, just do it. Like, your guides are like, this is so unnecessary. You know, I don't know for sure, but you get where I'm going with that. So another way overactivity manifests is having kind of like a God complex, right? Like a less extreme version of this is simply being overly intellectual or analytical, but they cannot practice what they preach, essentially, right? They can't walk it how they talk it. Like, you know, we all know that nerdy person who's like, oh, actually, it's 2.5 miles and over here and do this and we need to do this. And you're like, have you even done it before? Like, I've done that before and I wasn't worried about all the analytics of it. I just made it happen. Like, why are you overthinking this, right? That's how they are. That's how their brain works, right? So schizophrenia, ADD, ADHD are all signs of having overactivity to your crown chakra, because they get way too much energy running through and computing through that crown chakra, and it can be overwhelming, right? You know, don't get me wrong. There's a ton of people with a balanced crown and root chakra ratio, meaning that people that are more grounded can handle this type of mentality or these kind of disorders, and this extra sensory input, which is what those are. They can handle it well. They can handle it with ease. Like, they have a great time just computing all this information, and they move 1,000,000 miles an hour and it works for them, right? But not everybody. Not if you have an overactive crown, right? So the body is underkept compared to the etheric body. So, like, you know, you might be meditating all day, so your etheric body and your Merkaba and all that is popping, but your physical body is lacking because maybe you don't want to eat grounding foods. Maybe you're like just out here mistreating your body because you're only worried about your being out of your body, right? So it used to be more rare to be overactive in the crown, but we're seeing this a little more and more these days with these little star seeds coming in and whatnot. So I love it. So I also wanted to mention that spiritual bypassing stems from the crown chakra. Spiritual bypassing lives in this center. It lives in overactivity, okay? It definitely does. So spiritual bypassing, basically it would be like, you know, my motto, everything happens for a reason. But kind of like I was saying, you're lacking that motivation to take the physical action behind things. So, you know, that's like somebody like, oh, hey, you know, we got a paper due in our Spanish class. It's due tomorrow. Are you going to ace it? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do the work, because if the universe wants me to have an A, then I'm definitely going to ace it no matter what. Everything happens for a reason. I'm not going to study. I'm not going to do the work, because everything happens for a reason. If I, you know, if the divine universe throws that into play for me, then it will, right? And that's kind of like, yikes, because you got to put action to things. You got to take action to get what you want in this life. That's part of manifesting your A on your Spanish test or whatever, right? So the crown chakra overactivity, I'll just throw out some more symptoms, right? You might be like sensitive to light. You might be sensitive to sound because you got just a rush of energy going through. It's going to be like overwhelming. I have friends that jump in my car and my bass, you know, I can tell they're overly sensitive because my bass in my car just like is surprising to them. Or so, you know, yeah. So what else did I have in my notes? I'm pretty sure that's about it. Yeah. So, you know, I guess another kind of symptom is being emotionally detached. So you could be like a sociopath, and it's kind of like lack of feeling in general. Like lack of feeling in your physical body is definitely a symptom of overactivity. So you're not in touch with your feelings. You're feeling like you don't care about anybody or anything. That's kind of overactivity in your crown, right? So you might be completely blinded about like an ailment, opposed to someone who wants to get a checkup because they intuitively like feel disharmony in their body. Kind of, you know, you may like intuitively feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me, I need to go get a checkup. But if you have overactivity, they're not going to have that kind of sense of, oh, there's something wrong with my body, because they have that detachment from feeling sensations in their body and intuition about their body. So that's not the best either, right? So also, last but not least, disassociation. I suffer from this. Disassociation in general, or disorders like DID, dissociative identity disorder and whatnot, that directly relates to crown overactivity, right? They disassociate with reality as a defense mechanism their brain has put in play, learned somewhere along the way, right? To disassociate, kind of come up out of their body and not have to experience things fully that are traumatic or triggering things that remind people of their trauma. They start to disassociate, right? So yes, that is definitely the crown. All right, you guys, that is an overactive crown. Those are examples. That's what it's looking like. In my next video, we're going to be talking about underactives, but we're also going to be talking about how we can fix this, how we get an even, balanced energy flow to these centers so we don't have all the negative consequences that comes with over or underactivity. You guys, let's balance that stuff out. Stay tuned for my next video. I'm Spiritual Sky. I hope you have an amazing day. If this helped you out in any way, like or subscribe, and I will see you next time.